When you're ready, you can begin.
Ready.
Are you texting, Bube?
No, I'm using the phone.
Okay.
Hi, guys. My name is Bube. My student number is 1136259. My essay title is Should Nigeria have free trade with its main trade partners in Africa, or would this be damaging to its economy? Next, we're going to talk about free trade. I guess everybody has an idea of what free trade means. It simply means open markets, having little government interference in the markets. Next is the bodies governing free trade. Well, in West Africa, we have the ECOWAS governing free trade. In East Africa, we have the EAC. In Southern Africa, we have the SADC, which means the ECOWAS means Economic Community of the West African States, and it's a region where trade, free movement of trade can pass between the countries with little tariffs put on it, with little tax. Next is the EAC, the Eastern African Community, which does the same thing. It deals with trade between the Eastern African countries. And the next is the South African Development Community, which also is a trade bloc between the countries. And next we'll talk about the current free trade agreements in Africa. Well, we deal with the communities developed already that has to do with trade in the different regions. We still do not trade with other regions past say in West Africa. ECOWAS does not really have free trade with say the southern side of Africa or the eastern side of Africa. But currently Nigeria has a trade agreement with South Africa which actually has brought some kind of growth to the economy. I've seen South African companies coming to Nigeria while Nigerian companies being listed in the stock exchange in Johannesburg, South Africa. The next is a map of Africa showing the different communities I was talking about. And this area has to be the western side of Africa. That's where ECOWAS is. The next, the red region, is the southern side of Africa, representing the communities that have free trade within the region. The EAC is the East Africa. Commerce is the Central African region, and the North African region. Advantages of free trade. Well, free trade helps to grow an economy simply because when you open up the markets, you invite investors to your country. You invite human resources. You have people coming to the country to take up jobs, helping because Nigeria is a developing country and we don't necessarily have the infrastructure and the technology to develop high standard things, high standard commodities and everything. But if you open up the markets, you're going to have people coming, you're going to have a lot of things, coming to the economy that's going to help you grow. Another advantage of free trade is it helps increase consumer choice. Globalization, as everybody pretty much is the internet, and if there's free trade and there's less tariffs on imports into the country, consumers will have the choice to get the products from different areas of the world. It helps it brings in quality goods and services, which is competition, what I was talking about. The more you introduce different commodities to the country, the more the domestic producers and manufacturers have to compete and produce quality goods in order to compete. Like I said, infrastructure and investors. It also brings investors and infrastructure. I collected data from GeoHive. Is a website that takes data, calculates GDP of different countries, and I used Excel to plot a graph to show the different exports, different trade, Nigeria trade between its main trade partners and other countries in Africa. As you can see, the rest of Africa represents about 2% of trade between Nigerian trade. ECOWAS represents about 19%, and as you can see, the US takes over 35%. The rest of the world, comes in also. This is trying to show that Nigeria actually does not really trade with other African countries, in as much as there's countries all around Africa that need communities coming out from Nigeria. Let's talk about rice, for example. Like countries like Liberia and I think Angola produces millions of metric tons of rice, but we end up importing rice from countries from I think India and other places around the world. This pie chart shows different sectors of the economy, and Nigeria depends on crude oil. Most of the exports, most of the trade done in Nigeria is pretty much crude, and it takes up about 85% of the whole trade that goes on in the Nigerian economy. Agriculture is a sector that's been really neglected in the past few years. Despite the fact that we produce a lot of cash crops like cocoa, millet, corn, and most countries around Africa actually, due to the fact that agricultural products are being taxed as high, despite notwithstanding the destination where they're going to. Notwithstanding the destination where they're going to. And the industrial part, which is like manufacturing, is also very low, and the human resources is also very low. In conclusion, after much research and everything I did, I came up. I had some ideas, and also I read a few ideas of what could be done in order to improve free trade between Nigeria and countries and its trade partners in Africa. First of all, is investing in infrastructure and human resources. For long-term economic growth, I believe that you have to invest in infrastructure. We need to build roads, build inter-country highways to be able to have effective trade between different countries. The next is the removal of export restrictions on so many products. It's very, very expensive for people for manufacturers and traders to transport their products across neighboring countries like Benin, Ivory Coast, Liberia. Despite the fact that the distance and the trade routes are pretty much closed, but still it's very, very expensive to do that. Lowering import tariffs too also. This will also help, it's also encourage investors, and encourage different people to want to get their products and commodities to Nigeria and Africa. And also taking advantage of macroeconomics, always checking the economic indicators, trying to find out what makes and what helps the economic growth of the country. And next one. Questions?
Is this a topic that's sort of discussed in Nigeria? Is it something that's debated?
Yeah, actually, at the moment, the policies. The last I think it was the Doha Convention, but the World Trade Organization. They brought up the issues, and I've read different articles. Even David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the UK, David Cameron, encouraging all of the African countries to embrace free trade, open up the market, so to help grow the economy. Yeah, at the moment it is, but it's still shelved under the table.
Okay.
Obviously, from your graph or table, whatever it was, you showed us the bulk of the trades with other countries like USA and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of historical or cultural problem, like distrust, or why don't Africans trade with Africans?
Well, I was in terms of Nigeria, like I said, it's more like it depends.